Welcome to Creators Corner, a Charlevoix Circle of Arts YouTube series where we highlight a new Michigan-based artist every second Monday of the month. Hello, I am Ebony Amber, and welcome to Creators Corner here at Charlevoix Circle of Arts Gallery. Today, our special guest is Mary Duggan. Welcome, Mary. We are so happy to have you today.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. And here at the Circle, Mary has taught many classes in fiber arts. She has also been in the holiday market several years, offering beautifully handmade felt animal ornaments and vinyl illustration stickers. Mary also participates in the Circle's Paint Out event and is a member of the C3 group. C3 stands for Charlevoix Creative Collective. And our viewers may recognize Mary because she works part-time as an office gallery assistant. Can you tell us more about the C3 group you're involved in?
Sure. The C3 group is a group of artists who meet on Fridays, and we share whatever projects that we're currently working on together and cheer each other on and get more feedback about different things we might want to try with our art. So we all kind of progress as artists together.
It's like a supportive group for
artists. Yeah,
artists.
It's like an art support group.
Very cool. And would you say the members are from the Charlevoix area, or are they coming from all around?
We have a few that some are up in the area. The majority of them are from here in town. So
very cool. And
we have 10 members at the moment.
Wow, that's pretty good. And how long have you lived in the Charlevoix area?
I have been in the Charlevoix area for about 4.5 years.
Wow. Cool. I love it up here.
It is the most beautiful area to live in the summertime especially.
Absolutely. So could you tell us a little bit more about your fiber art and how you got into that?
Sure. I started into the fiber arts when I had a farm and I wanted to have some more animals. So I got some sheep, and then I taught myself how to spin, make my own yarn, weave, knit, and then I started doing farmers markets with the hand spun yarn that I was making. And then that was nice for a while, but not everybody knits and crochets. So I was looking for something else to have that was more universal. And that's when I started making the felted animals. And then that kind of took off till I didn't have time for farmers markets anymore. Now I just do the fiber arts.
So do you have to dye it and everything, or did you when you had the farm?
Yes, I've learned how to use dyes and do my own dyeing, and pretty much like took the wool from the sheep and processed it all the way through to the finished like garments or creatures, depending on what I was making.
Wow, very cool. And so have you always been creative, or is that something that evolved for you over time?
I have always been what I would consider an artist. I started as more of an interest in illustration, and then I was a portrait artist for some time where I did mostly portrait work, and then I kind of went away from art for a while, and when I got into the fiber arts, I've kind of progressively got more and more into it. So.
Did you go to school for illustration, or?
No, I
self-taught, huh?
Yes.
Wow. And I can say from my personal experience with you that I love your illustrations. I think they're wonderful. And speaking of your illustrations, I'm very familiar with them because you are illustrating my son's first book called Toby's Big Adventure. And it's coming out amazing. I would love to know what your experience has been like.
Well, mostly it has been really fun. I've really enjoyed it. It's something that I've always wanted to do since I was a small girl. Now I've had that chance to like bring something to life from scratch, and the story is so cute, and the characters are very interesting, and I've really had a lot of leeway to do what I want with conveying their emotions and bringing them through the progress of the tale. So I've definitely very, very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, so Toby is a little monster created by a special effects makeup artist, Tyler Green, and my son Zane is writing the story. You got to illustrate it, but he's not a usual looking character, right? So you sort of had to really play with how his...
There has been some challenges in that, because he has one eye.
Yeah.
And he's like just got a short little body and some short little arms. So conveying all of his expressions and having him go out on an adventure has been interesting because you have certain things that you can do with a creature like that and certain things that
there's
that
some
you
parameters
can't.
like there's some things that you just can't do.
So you just push it as much as you can to get as much out of the little guy, but the challenge is fun. The challenge of the character is the fun part.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why you were the first person to come to mind was because you have this fantasy inspiration within all of your work. Where do you think that comes from for you?
I've always been, well, I grew up in Germany, and my parents used to take me to lots of castles. And so we'd go to different castles all over on different weekends, and then at night, my mom would read us Hans Christian Andersen and Brothers Grimm fairy tales. And so I would just like sit back and just imagine all the things that were happening. And of course, those fairy tales are a little dark compared to Disney and stuff. I've always been into dragons and unicorns and fairies and magic. So
who doesn't love that stuff?
Exactly. It's that inner child I think that everybody has, and it's that part of that make-believe imagination.
And so now with your first book under your belt, do you think you're going to be working on another one? Or
Yes. My daughter and I have a cat named Leo, and I had started working with my daughter on a storyline for a cat before we got Leo, and I had done some sketches, and then when we went to pick him out of the litter, she actually picked a cat that looked exactly like the sketches that I had done. And he has a lot of personality. So I have a little model and a good story about a cat.
Aww.
And so that will be my next children's book.
And again, who doesn't love cats?
And there will be some magic involved in that as well.
Cats and magic. It's like everything somebody could want.
Right.
So when you're working on these projects, do you have a special tea you like to drink? Do you listen to certain music? What is your setup to get you in the mood?
What I actually do is go with my daughter to the Charlevoix Library and sit in the children's section with her. And she usually goes and on a computer plays or picks out books to read. And then I sit in there in the children's book world and create whatever I'm working on at that time.
And that's a magical place, right?
The
library really is.
Like if you're going to make a children's book, the children's section in the library is a great place to work.
And especially the Charlevoix Library. It's just so beautiful.
Yes, we're very fortunate to have the Charlevoix Library.
Yeah. And so you work with felt, you're a painter, you're an illustrator. Who would you say are your artistic influences?
My favorite artist of all time is Brian Froud. He was a concept designer for the Labyrinth movie, and
my favorites.
Yeah, and The Dark Crystal. And he also has illustrated several books, done a lot of cover work. And at one point, I didn't know who he was, and then I realized that one time I was just flipping through books on my shelves and realized that he had done the covers on the majority of the books that I really liked on my shelf. And I was like, whoa. And then I found out more about him. And I actually was waiting tables one time, and he came and sat at my table. And that's how I got to meet him.
Oh my gosh.
Like he just randomly walked in and sat in my section at my table.
Wow.
So,
did you say something to him?
Yes. Because you can't help but do that. And he actually drew me a little goblin. Yes.
Oh, do you have that framed somewhere in your house?
Yes, I will keep it forever.
That's amazing. So you do work with all these different mediums, but do you ever get a block where you just don't know what to do, or the next inspiration just isn't coming?
Generally not, because I just will switch and try something else. If I get a block, a lot of times it's with one material or subject matter. So a lot of times I will just switch off and do something else. Also, just taking a hike out somewhere in the wilderness, usually brings you back, and it gives you some spark or some ideas.
It seems through your work that you are inspired by nature.
Yes,
through a lot of it.
Definitely. And we live in such a beautiful natural place for that with our trees and our water. So.
Yeah. And so what do you like to do when you're not creating something? Go on hikes, go out in nature.
Yeah, basically I go on a lot of adventures into the wilderness with my child, and she looks at different bugs, and you know, we make up stories and make believe and stuff. So yeah, that's how I spend most of my free time, and also hanging out with my artist friends from around town. So.
Is your daughter following in your creative footsteps, would you say?
She is extremely creative, yes. She actually just did a pet portrait and entered it into a competition, so we will see how that goes.
Very good. Well, Mary, it's been lovely to have this conversation with you. I enjoy your work so much, and I thank you so much for working with my son on this book. It has turned out amazingly. It went beyond anything that we ever could have imagined. It was just a wonderful experience, and you're lovely to work with as
thanks.
a person, not just an artist, but as a person. So thank you for doing this interview with us. And if anybody has any more questions about Mary, you can look at the description box down below and get more information on how to connect with her. Thank you. Thanks again for watching Charlevoix Circle of Arts Creators Corner. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel and hit the bell down below to be notified of our next video premiere. These are 2 easy ways to show Michigan artists just how much we appreciate their contribution to our beautiful state.